Let's clarify self-awareness as a measure of how valuable we think we are and see what we can do to be who we can be. I have been and still am a seeker, but I have ceased to question stars and books. I have begun to listen to the teaching my blood whispers to me. Hermann Hesse.
So what is self-awareness? If I ask you, how many of us have asked ourselves the question, who am I? How many of us have asked ourselves, what do I want? These are ancient questions, but contemporary ones as well. Becoming self-aware is about the process of understanding ourself. For me, knowing ourself means being able to assess realistically several dimensions of ourself. It is about knowing what are our strengths, the things that we can do well, knowing our weaknesses, our present limitations. It is about knowing what we want, and furthermore, it is about knowing what we don't want as well. It is about developing an authentic leadership. We are who we are. We are authentic. But one cannot be authentic if imitates someone else. As Hemingway said, you can't get away from yourself by moving from one place to another. Yes, we learn from others, we have to learn from others, but we can't be somebody else. By being authentic, only then we can be an inspiration to others. We then may become leaders that are able to motivate and guide other people towards achieving goals and visions. The positive side is that self-awareness or knowing yourself can be developed. We are not born with that skill, which in turn then leads to being able to create a context that is more favorable to you, the context which provides us with opportunities and with what we want, finally. Furthermore, that enables us to be the person we want to be.
One of the breakthroughs is not my work, but Carver and Shire took up the self-awareness research, which social psychologists had been studying, saying, why do we have self-awareness? What is the purpose of reflecting on yourself? It's so you can control yourself. Just being aware of yourself has very little benefit. You can look at yourself in the mirror and admire yourself or something like that. But the real benefit is that you can look at something about yourself and say, well, this could be improved, this could be different. It's very hard, and we know laboratory studies and so on, it's very hard to control your behavior when you're not aware of it. So almost any time people try to control their behavior, they keep track of it. My grandmother said, you want to control your money, your spending, write down what you spend every day. Dieters all keep track of how many calories they eat and things like that. Exercise, you got to write on the calendar every day whether you had a workout so that you don't fool yourself. Keeping track, self-awareness, in other words, of your own behavior, that is one key step in being able to change yourself and make yourself into the person you want to be.
But self-awareness, what do you know about what it is that you are? Just like plants develop in extremely predictable patterns, human beings also develop following extremely predictable patterns. This is particularly true for our minds, how we think. The moment we're born and start to have life experiences, the way we think, the methods we use to solve problems and understand the world, that develops, and it does so through distinct stages. Step by step, one after the other, every single one of us pass through the exact same stages of awareness, in the exact same order. It's as we climb this awareness staircase that we learn to understand the world in more complex ways. That expands our perception, which in turn allows us to come up with better or more complex solutions to our problems.
I wanted to know what self-awareness really is, where it comes from, why we need it, and how to get more of it. My research team surveyed quantitatively thousands of people. We analyzed nearly 800 scientific studies. And we conducted dozens of in-depth interviews with people who made dramatic improvements in their self-awareness. Now, initially, we were actually so worried that we wouldn't find any of these people that we called them self-awareness unicorns. True. But thank goodness we did find them. Because what these unicorns taught me would create a groundbreaking revelation for how all of us can find genuine self-awareness. And there's actually a ton of research showing that people who are self-aware are more fulfilled. They have stronger relationships. They're more creative. They're more confident and better communicators. They're less likely to lie, cheat, and steal. They perform better at work and are more promotable. And they're more effective leaders with more profitable companies. In the world of self-awareness, there are two types of people. Those who think they're self-aware, and those who actually are. It's true. My team has found that 95% of people think they're self-aware, but the real number is closer to 10 to 15%. You know what this means, don't you? It means that on a good day, 80% of us are lying to ourselves. And I was in my office, hopped up on Diet Coke and Smart Food popcorn. And I had just analyzed a set of data. And to say that I was surprised would be an understatement. My team and I had just run a simple study looking at the relationship between introspection and things like happiness, stress, and job satisfaction. Naturally, the people who introspected would be better off. Wouldn't you think so? Our data told the exact opposite story. People who introspected were more stressed and depressed, less satisfied with their jobs and their relationships, less in control of their lives. I had no idea what was going on, and it got worse. These negative consequences increased the more they introspected. You diehard self-awareness fans, and particularly introspection fans in the audience, might be thinking, sure, introspection may be depressing, but it's worth it because of the insight it produces. And you're right. I am not here today to tell you that the pursuit of self-awareness is a waste of time. Not at all. I am here to tell you that the way you're pursuing it doesn't work. Let's look at the most common introspective question: why? We might be searching for the cause of a bad mood. Why am I so upset after that fight with my friend? Or we might be questioning our beliefs. Why don't I believe in the death penalty? Or we might be trying to understand a negative outcome. Why did I choke in that meeting? Unfortunately, when we ask why, it doesn't lead us towards the truth about ourselves. It leads us away from it. There are so many reasons this is the case. Today, I'll give you two. Here's the first reason we shouldn't ask why. Researchers have found that no matter how hard we try, we can't excavate our unconscious thoughts, feelings, and motives. And because so much is hidden from our conscious awareness, we end up inventing answers that feel true, but are often very wrong. The second reason asking why is a bad idea is that it leads us away from our true nature. So if we shouldn't ask why, then what should we ask? Do you remember our self-awareness unicorns? When we looked at how they approached introspection, we found the answer. We analyzed literally hundreds of pages of transcripts, and we saw a very clear pattern. Although the word why appeared less than 150 times, the word what appeared more than 1,000 times. Let me give you a few examples. Nathan, a brand manager, got a terrible performance review from his new boss. Instead of asking, "Why are we like oil and water?" He asked, "What can I do to show her I'm the best person for this job?" It changed everything. People now point to Nathan and his boss as proof that polar opposites can work together. Sarah, an education leader, was diagnosed with breast cancer in her late 40s. And when she asked, "Why me?" she said it felt like a death sentence. So then she asked, "What's most important to me?" This helped her define what she wanted her life to look like in whatever time she had left. She's now cancer-free and more focused on the relationships that mean the most to her. Jose, an entertainment industry veteran, hated his job. And instead of getting stuck what most of us would do and ask, "Why do I feel so terrible?" he asked, "What are the situations that make me feel terrible, and what do they have in common?" He quickly realized that he would never be happy in his job, and it gave him the courage to pursue a new and far more fulfilling career path as a wealth manager. So these are just 3 examples of dozens of unicorns that asked what instead of why.
I think the only practical execution of becoming more self-aware that I've seen is creating a very safe zone for the 10 people that know you best. Let me explain. Put the 10 people that you know best into a room with you, one by one, by the way, and tell them you're trying to understand yourself better and create a very safe zone. Tell them, "Mom, you're not gonna hurt my feelings. Sally, you're not gonna hurt my feelings." Tell them, "Look, I'm doing this. I know you're gonna say some things that I don't wanna hear." You gotta pound them. You gotta pound them to tell you the truth. But collect that feedback over the 10 closest people to you, gather it, read it, and address it in a black and white way, because the reason you're probably not as self-aware is your brain works in a black and white way, so you need the data. Otherwise, I really just don't have an answer. It's the most interesting thing for me because I am completely convinced it is the thing that brings people the most upside and happiness when they're at the height of their self-awareness.